Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Dad, Daughter, and Drink podcast. This is a podcast where we have real conversations from different generations, no scripts, no filters, just honest perspective, and we have a drink while we doing it. I am Dad, and this is my beautiful daughter, Destiny. So today's topic is supposed to be about how dads treat their daughters different than their sons. Now, I feel like I treat y'all the same, but you said you got some surprises for me, so we shall see. All right, let's talk about it.
Check it out. I call it.
So, like my dad said, today we'll be talking about how dads treat their daughters differently than their sons. To start off, I just want to ask you, do you think that dads treat their daughters and sons differently? Not on purpose, but do you think?
I guess in certain situations, I think for me, like I always say, I'm waiting to hear this rest of this conversation. But I always say I treated y'all the same, and but I mean, I did treat you different when it comes to like safety and stuff like that. You being out, I'm always, like I never said no, you couldn't do that. I wouldn't tell you anything different, but you always still got that. I always still had that like fear, like you know what I'm saying? Because I just feel like I don't know. That's just natural for a man, I guess, and him and his daughters to understand. And then a lot of times with a lot of times the dad is kind of going off of how he acted when he was, especially when you're dealing with like boys or
Yeah.
relationships. They kind of going off of like how they acted,
Yeah.
so they kind of a little bit more what you call it. But I mean, I think that's probably what like what we what would actually be different. I think it's just more about the safety issue. We feel like, you know what I'm saying? We feel like not on purpose, but we just feel like the son could probably take care of itself better than the daughter could when it comes to
Okay.
certain situations. So it might be certain things that they don't that I don't drill. I might not drill down as hard on um, the obvious that I might have drilled down a little bit harder, or my concern might have been a little bit harder. But as far as like equality, as far as across the board, I feel like I treated y'all both the same, like for the most part.
I'm
What do
glad
you
you
think?
brought up safety, because that would be my first one. But not safety more, I feel like freedom. I think me and my brother both had the same type of freedom, but I feel like when it comes to sons, it is like how you said, it's more like if they say they're going somewhere, it's like, okay, go be safe. If your daughter says you're going somewhere, it's like where you're going, who's gonna be there, maybe what time you think you're gonna come back. Like I feel like it'd be way more questions. Like it's way more
Okay,
like
I can see it.
questions than what it is with your son. He can just say, "Oh, I'm going to hang out with so and so." It's like, okay, I know he gonna be out with so and so, but like I feel like the daughters on the other hand, you could say, I'm going to hang out with a my friend, but it'll simply like, oh well, where y'all going? Okay, how long you think you're gonna be out? You gonna be out late, or it's like a little, extra. So would you say that is because of like what you said, like they think you think that like Diavis, for example, be able to take care of himself better like in a certain situation than me. That's why it is more like questions and stuff. I don't think
I
you did it a lot, but I think there are, especially like when I got older, it was more like like in the middle school, fresh high school.
so I think even in that situation, like where you were saying, like I'm asking, even with him, I still asked him like where he was going, who he was going with. That's just for me. That was
Yeah,
just natural parenting. Like
yeah,
I know some parents don't really care; they just let their
yeah.
kids run around and do whatever they want to do. But for me, for y'all, I always wanted to know at least where y'all were. You know what I'm saying? Where you were going, who are you going with, and I like when like you spent the night over your friend's house or
Yeah,
whatever. I always wanted to talk to the parent, to
yeah.
know the parent. You know what I'm saying? And I did the same. We did done the same thing for Diablos as well. You know what I'm saying? I think yours might have been a tad bit. I don't think it was a big. I think it was a difference in that because it's. I just felt like that. Well, I feel. I'm just gonna use myself, my own opinion. I feel that with a lot of stuff that goes on, especially with sexual assaults and everything else and all the craziness going on, I have more fear of that happening, which is probably not right, but I have more fear about that happening to you as a girl
Yeah.
than for him as a man. Even though it does happen
Yeah. That
for
makes
men,
sense.
but
though.
I
get
think
it.
for naturally, I'm
Yeah.
more concerned about you as far as that than I am him. I'm concerned about that for him too, but it don't register like
Yeah.
that when it's going on. I guess for the most part.
Okay, I can understand that. I understand that. Okay, my next one is sports. I like when we do sports. I feel like when it comes to not everybody. So you have some dads who are very involved with their daughter if they do a sport or everything like that. I feel like when it came down to me and my brother, when he was like doing basketball and everything, I feel like this was everybody. I feel like everybody was so we all involved. We all got to get up early and go. We all like it's like a family thing. But when it was like Destiny's time, or I'm dabbling in this, I'll do this. It was just like whatever. She ain't gonna be doing that for long. Like it wasn't no like okay. I feel like that's a big double standard when it comes to sons and daughters. It can be not everybody, but I know for us that's what I feel. I was like, okay, I don't have to do nothing. Let me just go sit down.
Okay, I can see that, and I kind of agree with you that it should be even for both kids, but I think again you have to look at the situation. We knew Diavis wanted to play
Yeah.
sports. He always been playing sports, basketball, football,
Correct.
soccer. That was his thing.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For you didn't really.
Yeah.
I don't like. We kind of parents kind of know like
Yeah.
your child. You kind of know like you ain't really gonna be a sports person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You like you said, you dibbled and dabbled in certain things, but you wasn't like dedicated to
Yeah.
actually doing it. Like you wasn't going outside like extra to go practice volleyball or go run track or do this, that, or the third.
Yeah.
Like I knew for a fact that you were more of an educated. School was your thing.
Yeah.
Education in school was more of your thing. Diavis, on the other hand, not. He was opposite. He was more sports than he was more school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think that's kind of what you call it, and I can kind of understand how that kind of affects you, because that kind of affect when I play sports too. Like I didn't get a lot of support when I came to sports. So that kind of stopped me from actually playing. Like my dad and nobody would come see it, but I understood that he wasn't coming because he was working, work late. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I try to do when I was going to see your brothers or going to see you, but I always try to make sure if y'all had something that I showed up there to support you. You know what I mean? Regardless of what it was, even though I know like Destiny probably not gonna do this forever. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I still wanted to be there to support you because that has a lot to do with how a child goes on.
Yeah.
Just supporting a child in sports or whatever they're doing does wonders for their you know what I'm saying, for their emotions, their how they build themselves up, knowing that somebody's like. So I can kind of understand that, but
because I feel like I am a school person. I'm a school person. I'm not a big sports person. I wanted to be, but I feel like when, like you said, when you don't get like, I guess for me, I was always looking at like how we did stuff for Diavis. Like if it wasn't a practice or a game, like we're taking out him to do extra stuff. Like everybody has to stop whatever they doing or whatever they have planned, and we're going to AAU. Like it was always something extra he had going on, and we all had to stop. So when it came to me, it was like okay. Even though yes, I did with Dad, it was like okay. I was waiting for the time people was like okay. Well, Destiny, do you want to do this? Like, do you want to do this for real? Like, okay, we can go out here and do this, that, that. But I feel like, I guess, yeah, it does depend on the circumstance because I am like, I did one dabble. So it was like, I didn't feel like nobody really like cared to know if I wanted to really do it. It was just like, okay, we know she gonna stop doing it.
Right.
And I stopped doing it because, okay, well, what am I doing this for?
Yeah. I can understand. Like I said, that was the same reason why I played
Except for
sports
cheer.
and
Cheer was
yeah,
great.
you had cheer.
Cheer
So
was
that
great.
was
I mean,
you had
I
the
mean,
support on that. So I mean,
well, yeah. Like,
you was cheering at.
I mean, at the game. Like, I hope.
I don't know, but I like I said, I just think it was more of a line that we kind of knew, like, oh, Destiny's kind of,
Yeah.
she's doing the sports, but I didn't see like you're like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't no sparkle in your eye.
Yeah.
This is what I want to do.
That was sparkle.
With your brother, it was kind of like, hey,
This is his
that's
everything.
everything he always wanted to do. He always doing this and doing that. And then also, again, this is where it's kind of bad on you because we spent a lot of money for all these AAUs, uniforms, whatever. And
Well, like I said, I did believe that, but like, I had to find what worked for me. Like, I
Right.
was,
but
was-
I understand that. But yeah, I don't, like I said, I think a lot of that was circumstance dependent for the most part. Like I said, if I had like if you had like I said, if I had seen like, oh, she's really into volleyball because you play volleyball, or she's really into track or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Hey, matter of fact, now I'm thinking about it, I'm the one that wanted you to actually run track, but you was like, I don't want to run like that.
yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. Because the one time I did track, that's why I did it. Because you always wanted me to do track. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do track. Like,
And then you did.
I'm going to tough it out. But look, okay, it was not for me. It was not for me. But then also, I felt like by the time it came for me to do track, I feel like if I would have did track like the first sport, I felt like you would have been more involved. You would be like, okay, let's go out and do runs. But I
That's
feel like
probably
since it was like my last little, like I was at tail end of
Yeah.
everything else I tried, it was like, okay, she just doing this, like
That's probably right. Yeah. Like, yeah. So that goes along with what I was saying. Like if somebody's really like doing a sport or something they want to do, you kind of know, like that's their whole focus, their whole mindset, and whatchamacallit. And I mean, even your brother wasn't really nailed down. He played basketball, but it wasn't like nailed down. Like he would go out and play, but he wasn't like going out and practicing on his own.
Yeah.
So I knew that eventually that was gonna, gonna dissolve at some point or whatever. Because you still got to practice as much because there's always somebody out there hungrier than you are. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be, focused on that whole process if that's what you want to do. But yeah, that was pretty good. What else?
I would say, so going off of that, not pressure, but expectations. So I would say, like you said, Diablos was the sports person, and me, I was the education person. So I felt like when it came to like school, like when it came to me, I don't want to say that you or mom like was like ever too hard on me about school. I feel like it was more of like, Destiny, you should be doing good. Like if I did like drop down, grades started look like, what is wrong with you? What are you doing?
Right.
My brother, on the other hand, that's just him. Like, who are we talking about? Like, what's going on here? Like, what's going on here? I felt, but like back then, it used to be like, that's not fair. Like, why I gotta like try extra hard? I mean, I wasn't really trying that, but I feel like it'd be the expectations and pressure that dads can put on their sons and their daughters, especially their daughters. I feel like they want their daughters to just like reach extreme like expectations, and it's like if you don't, this is not about you, cause
I'm not worried. No filter.
Well, no,
here.
I
Honest
think you do put.
conversation.
I think you do put high expectations on me, but I don't. I think if I don't reach them, I know you would be okay. Like it's not gonna be like, oh, you disappointed me. But I definitely think it would be you could have done better. Like you could have done better.
I always think that everybody should be able to. You can kind of tell. I mean, my parents did it to me too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was they all right. We know what you can do, because you like I said, it just goes back to your kids. If you're kind of involved or watching them or in their life, you kind of know your children, and you kind of know what's going on. So for um like like we said earlier, for you, I looked at like I knew like, okay, she's gonna be very, it's always gonna be school. It's very educated. Like you're
Yeah.
very smart thinking. You always, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You don't stop. You try. If something doesn't work for you, you try to figure it out, which is the same way I am. You kind of figure something out until you get it. Then once you get it, everything else is easy. Now I got it now, so I can run with it. You know what I'm saying? You were that way with school. Like everybody can just tell it. Like everybody in your family, like everybody knew that.
Literally.
Everybody knew that. Like we know Destiny is going to achieve, at a higher level because of how you respond to certain things or do certain things or how you were in school. But for me, so I guess this will kind of fit to what you were saying. So for me, as you were getting older, my thought process was this is really what I wanted you to do. I wanted you be able to graduate high school without getting pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Or without having some other drama going on or whatever. I wanted you to get through college. That I always tell y'all that first year. That first year is going to tell me everything that I need to know. That first year. Everybody's going to you might have a hiccup or two, but whether or not you get back on the horse and keep moving forward, exactly what you did. You had a hiccup in there, but you still pushed through it, you know what I'm saying? With everything that was going on during the time frame that you were in school, the passing of your grandmother and everything that was going on, you still was able to, okay, I know I got this, but now I really know what I need to be, what I'm doing this for. You know what I'm saying? I really need to be doing this. So I always expected you to have just a higher level of thinking and everything. You know what I'm saying? You just move forward. You push forward on everything. So, but that's what I wanted. Now, shit. In the same token, just to support what you're saying, I should have been thinking the same thing. Yeah, I want you to go to school and not get somebody pregnant. But the key here on that is that typically when there's a pregnancy between, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, the baby comes back to the daughter's house.
Yeah.
Who's taking care of it? 9 times out of 10. You know what I'm saying? So that's a lot of like what we're kind of, we just want you to break different cycles, either in our own family or whatever. Just different cycles is what I really wanted you to break. I didn't want you to end up being pregnant or, you know what I'm saying, or having kids, and then that just takes you out of where you can't go to college or you don't finish school or this, that, or the third. It just sets you back behind. You know what I'm saying? Though all those stereotypes and stigmas is really what I really wanted for you, basically. I didn't want all of the stigmas and stereotypes that go with a lot of stuff that go on with our people. You know what I'm saying? Doing whatever. You know what I mean? So that was my biggest thing. You know what I'm saying? So, and lo and behold, you did all that. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I guess, yes. I guess I should have had the same, but I didn't, like you said, I didn't have the same thought process when it came to your brother. I didn't have like, oh, I don't want you to, I just wanted you to graduate high school. That was your whole thing. So, you know what I'm saying? I just wanted you to graduate high school. For him, I wanted him to graduate high school and not be in the streets. Pretty much the same stigma before on I'm thinking more of the male side, being, getting in the gang, going to jail, not, you know what I'm saying, just certain things, you know what I'm saying. So I guess, so I think a lot of that was probably a lot of the difference. Like I'm thinking, for you, I'm thinking more women or girl side. For him, I'm thinking more men's side, which I should have been thinking equally for both of y'all, but it was still the same thing. So
it's okay. But no, that does lead me to my next question. So do you think that the reason that dads will treat their sons and daughters differently is because of those type of gender norms or those type of gender stereotypes. Like you said, like you're just worried about him not being in the streets, not being in the gang. While girl, you're just worried about her like not being pregnant, not being set back from whatever it is she's trying to accomplish. You think
Yeah.
that's kind of like the root of it?
I think that's the probably the biggest root of,
Yeah.
of what we're doing. And then a lot of times, especially like I said earlier, especially with males or dads or whatever, and they have daughters. Typically, most fathers judge how they were when they were kids.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then how they treated girls or how they did certain things. So they're trying. So now we're trying to. I don't want you to. You know what I'm saying? Even though we like, oh, we want you to, kind of take after your father, but it's certain aspects we like, nah, we don't. You know what I'm saying? So because we kind of know like, but this ain't like I tell you all the time. Don't bring nobody around me that you're not. Serious, serious with, or you know what I'm saying, or it's going to go to another level, whatever. Because now I'm going to actually look at that person and actually judge that person off of, you know what I'm saying, how either I acted or whatever, you know what I'm saying, if it's a male or whatever. So, but yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with that, like how we acted as teenagers or young adults or kids. We kind of like, oh, how do we treat women, whatever, you know what I'm saying? So, and what our thinking was, kind of think, you know what I'm saying? So, and typically there's a saying that most men who kind of, for lack of a better term, like were womanizers or what you call it, they usually end up having to try to raise a girl. They usually have a girl that shows up in what you call it. A lot of times they have to they have to be like, oh shoot, now I got to start thinking like, you're like, oh, well, it changed, and then that goes into why they treat the daughter different than you know what I'm saying, they different to the son, because they don't, if the son is doing the same thing they were doing when it was called, they don't really, because they like, oh yeah, he's doing the same, you know what I mean, that's the way it is. He a player like I was a player. Whatever.
Which is so crazy.
But if the daughter is like, that ain't what we want, it's like, it's a problem. But I think that's probably natural human instinct or whatever for males.
Okay. Well, that leads me into dating. Like you said, if it's me, you don't really want me to bring nobody around if it's serious. I don't think Diab's ever just brought people around, but on the off chance that like he did or whatever, would you have that same mentality like you do for me? If I just brought a guy around, you was going, okay, I'm finna judge him and see what it is. If he brought somebody around.
Yeah, that's just straight across the board for both of y'all. Don't bring nobody around that you're not really serious or into. Like the opposite had girlfriends that he brought, but me, typically, hey, hi, bye, I'm gone. I ain't having no conversation with you until I can see that, okay, this is something, somebody that you obviously into, or you coming. I'd rather for y'all to come and tell me, like, hey, you know what I'm saying, this is my boyfriend or whatever, blah blah blah. Now when you don't come and do that, so now I'm like, oh, okay, this must be serious because you actually said something. You brought it to me, whatever. Outside of that, you know what I'm saying, because you don't want to do that, because if I see that person, I'm probably gonna say, it's that and third, and it might, you might not like what I got to hear, but sometimes you got to hear that, and then you just don't want to be bringing a bunch of people around your family and you don't really know where they which card. It kind of goes back to like you were saying in the first or second episode that we talked about, like you were saying that no, it was relationships. So you were saying that like you're very family oriented, so you don't know how this person's gonna respond to your family, so that it's just better not to be, you know what I mean, just bringing people around like and then it just don't look good on you either.
Right.
Like if every 2 months or two months you bring a new guy around, it's kind of like, okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So But I think across the board, like I
Pretty
said,
much
I
the
think
same.
it was. I tried to do what I could to
Mm-hmm.
kind of treat y'all the same. Discipline was definitely the same. It didn't really just depend on what y'all did. It was gonna be the same, regardless. How I kind of talk to you or try to guide or try to say certain things is gonna be the same. Y'all safety, um, is gonna be the same. Probably a little bit strict. I mean, not stricter, because I don't think I stopped you from going somewhere. I always just
No,
wanted
no,
more
no, never.
information,
Yeah,
which is the same thing. Like I said, we did for Diablos as well. We still wanted more information. I mean, maybe not as in depth, but we still wanted the same information.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Now I'm glad you brought up discipline. I'm glad you just brought that up for me. Do you think it's a
I
more
thought we
question?
just did discipline the last one.
No,
No,
no, no. This. So, do you think? Okay, so why do you think that it is? Some people will say that dads are softer. They go softer on their girls, whether that's like a lecture, what they're saying. They won't go as hard on their daughters as they will their sons. My thing is, why do that if that's you raised that daughter? Like you said, like me and you do have similarities. Like you're kind of like tough and everything. You got a backbone. I feel like you raised me to have a backbone and everything like that. So why, in like conversation, would you like not go as hard as maybe you normally would if you were talking to a male? I'm not
I
saying you
don't.
do.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm
I
just saying,
don't.
why do you think people would do that?
I don't. I'm about to say I don't. I don't do that. But I do think people do that based off of societies. So for most people, we think that um, there's always a stigma or a stereotype that are women or gender stereotype that women are more emotional. You know what I'm saying? So you kind of you kind of um, kind of watching like what you're saying. You still want to get the message across,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to. Sometimes I think we just feel like we got to do it in a
Tone.
different tone, different voice. And that really just goes for people in general. Everybody don't accept the same
Yeah.
tone. Like you can't just talk to
Yeah.
everybody the same way. Everybody has a different way they accept certain things. But I think as far as like genders, I think we believe that okay, so when we talking to women, I shouldn't just be as rough as I am as a male because we feel like
Yeah.
the male should be able to take that a little, little bit, a little bit more.
Yeah.
Especially for dads because I'm seeing him as a man or a boy or a teenager or a young adult. So I'm like, okay, I know how I am, which is probably not always true because you're gonna have some men that are just as emotional or just as sensitive about certain things as anybody else. But it's just, I don't know. I think that's just a society kind of
Kind of thing.
kind of thing that I think we're in the process of kind of breaking that mode or whatever it is and changing it. But I think that's a society thing. But I think a lot of it's just like I was saying earlier. I think a lot of it's just based on safety. I think it's more like we feel like oh more is going could affect a woman or a young woman. You know what I'm saying out here in the world
Mm-hmm.
than we do our young men. Even though the same thing can happen to them, but probably not the percentage rate is probably not as high as it is when you think about women. It's just what you call it. So I think that because we think in that sense, because we think that they are weaker as far as safety if something can happen to them, the same thing when you're talking to them, you're thinking, oh, I need to be less
Yeah.
aggressive.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Kind of tag more into the emotion. What am I saying that might make something trigger? Some people, some girls, you can just talk to the same way you talk to. They don't. That's how they want it. They don't care. You know what I'm saying? But you don't really know that until you actually know that person or feel that
Yeah.
person out or say do what they want to do. I mean, I don't know. I think that's just a society thing. Like they didn't for a long time. They didn't want what women join the military or being and then being on the front line. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with it. Like I tell them all the time, as long as you can pick up your rucksack and put it on your back, because I'm not doing it. I got to carry mine, you carry yours. We good to go. I have no issues with nothing like that. Like I said, some people they're different and times have changed. So I think that's a lot of that is still a lot of that old thinking. It's starting to fade out a little bit as it goes, but you still gonna have those old people with that same thought process. So I think that's where we at.
That's why you would yell at me too. That's why you would yell at me the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not, but see, I'm not yelling or punishing y'all personally on you. I'm trying to punish the act so you understand what you're doing, how it can actually affect you, either long term, even short term, or how that thinking can actually mess you up. You know what I mean? A lot of this stuff. So but it really goes the same for most children, especially with parents. Like my daddy told me plenty of times not to do this, not to do that, or said this, blah blah blah. And what I did, I'm a teenager. I went on and did it anyway. And what happens? Everything he said was gonna happen, and now I'm like, you know what? You could. Everybody say you could have avoided that if you just listened. Like, but we kids, as teenagers, kids, young adults, you like, I'm a young adult. I could do, you know what I mean? I got this. I got this figured. I can figure it out. So I mean, that's always gonna be a thing, cause children are always gonna think I know more than a parent because I'm younger and this is my society now. And parents always gonna think that, hey, I'm trying to advise you or tell you on something because everybody does the same thing. If you ever notice, they do this. As children, we pretty much do the same thing. Only thing really changes is the time, how it's done, how it's conducted. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's certain things, everything does the same pattern of youth all the way up to adulthood is pretty much the same. You know what I'm saying? It really just depends. Like, y'all got computers now. Like we talked about the bullying. The bullying is it's the same, but it's just different because we didn't have the technology. Right. You know what I'm saying? So everything is kind of it's kind of like it's the same. It's just done differently. You know what I mean? So even even when you tell somebody not to do something or watch out for this or the third, then it might not happen the way it happened for me, but it might happen for you a different way, but it's still the same thing, same effect. It can still affect your life a certain way.
Okay. So you would say there's no time, other than what I brought up, now that you've thought about, is there any times you could think about where maybe you treated me and my brother a little bit differently? Not like galaxy way. Other than the stuff I brought up. And what would be the time you can remember?
Oh, God, you're talking to the wrong person trying to remember. You know, my memory gone. I'm trying to remember. I'm just saying, like, I just do a blanket. I'm pretty sure I probably have, but like I was saying earlier, it was probably a reason why, like, it's either based on this or, based on, what was going on, during that time frame that I'm like, oh, well, I needed to be a little bit extra cautious, you know what I'm saying? So it's probably a few times, but like I was saying, like, my goal for you was different, which should have been the same, but it was, so obviously at some point there was probably something in there. I was like, well, you know what, I did this, but I didn't do that, or or blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm pretty sure I probably did. But if you asking me to remember, you asking the wrong person because my brain be gone. I can't remember nothing.
No, I don't have any more. That's all. I had for us today.
Okay.
So, you dads listening out here, if any of this is resonating with you a little bit, treat your daughter the same. Or it's okay to have, like my dad had different expectations for us, but remember this. Remember this video and how it can make her feel later down the line, or your son down the line. Like, just try to be fair across the board. That's what I would say to
Yeah, that's all you can do is try to be as fair as you can. But hey, it is. But hey, I don't think you're ever gonna change. I don't think we ever gonna change where the dad is not gonna be more overprotective
I
with
don't
his
think
daughter
so
than
either.
it. But we can get as close as we possibly can. I guess that's what the message is right there.
Yes. Or teach us self-defense.
Mm-hmm. We need to go back to the
with
range
mace,
again.
or that. Supply them with mace. Tell them how to, like, get out of certain situations or whatever the case may be. Just prep them so you're not as scared when they go out. So then it's, it's like it's not. I know it's not gonna just take everything away, but it's a little like, okay,
Gotcha.
okay, I can breathe a little.
That's true. Well, that's all I got. So I guess we just need to be fair across the board. That's what we need to do.
Yep, I agree. And if you made it this far, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you think of any double standards that sons and daughters have, put it down in the comment section. And we'll see you on the next episode of Dad, Daughters, and Drinks.
Holla!
Check it out. I call it